What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Vigilante. You're watching the Vigilante Effect. I know I haven't uploaded for a long time, but seeing what's going on, I really had to upload. I don't understand what's going on with the critics, particularly with regards to Venom. I'm really extremely confused. I don't know if they watched the same movie that I watched, or that regular audiences have watched, or if critics have just lost their touch. I've seen it being compared to Catwoman. Catwoman, that's like one of the worst movies, if not the worst comic book movie ever, if you can even count it as a comic book movie. I've seen it being trashed from the beginning to the end, something that's unwatchable or something that doesn't know what it wants to be. I'm gonna tell you right now. This right now, within 20 minutes, I'm gonna go. I saw it on opening night, Thursday night. I saw it again on Friday, and I'm going again for the third night in a row to watch it again. That's a testament to how much I loved that movie. Now, it's not one of those movies that you're going to go into and walk out of and say, "Oh, this was an Oscar-winning performance or Oscar-winning story." It's nothing like that. But if you're going in with that kind of expectation to a superhero movie, especially one that had a lot of setbacks from the beginning, you might be setting yourself up for failure. And I don't know if the critics, if that's, that's what the issue is with them, if they had high expectations, or if they just had negative expectations to begin with, and so you kind of had a self-fulfilling prophecy. I don't understand how someone can walk in this movie and walk out of it saying I hated it, or saying it was the worst movie, or saying it was such a bad movie. I can understand someone, it not being somebody's taste. Okay, I can understand someone saying, "Well, it was good. It wasn't great, but it was good." I can understand that, but I can't understand someone saying Wonder Woman was so amazing, needs to have an Oscar nomination, and then walk out of Venom and give it a 29% critic score on what do you call it? The Rotten Tomatoes. That's something that I can't comprehend. So yeah, let's talk about some things real quick. The CGI, I think it had $100 million budget, the movie. So I went in there expecting that the CGI was not going to be the best considering the budget. That's just a realistic expectation, especially for the fact that the main protagonist, which is Venom, is all CGI. With that said, it was really good. It was really good. There's moments where obviously you can tell it's CGI, but that's really with any movie. Like it's not set in a way where every single scene the CGI is amazing. But some things like if he's extending his arm or things like that, you can kind of tell it's fake. But honestly, your mind just blanks it out after a while. Um, and even then, it's nothing that's like it's not breaking. Like it's not like a budget movie or something like that. It's a good, it's it's normal. There's nothing out of the ordinary here. The storyline. One of the other things I heard about is the villain is so one dimensional or two dimensional or whatever the case may be, and I think I don't agree with the concept that every villain needs to have a good reason or a good reasoning for what they're doing in terms of thinking that they're the good guy. For example, Thanos, he thought himself as the good guy. What's his name? Killmonger. Same thing. He's looking at himself like he's doing something noble. Not every villain has to be that way. Now, this isn't a Joker kind of story where you have a Joker level villain, but at the same time, it's just a typical villain. It's a typical villain. There's nothing, and it's a typical comic book villain. If you're going in to watch a comic book movie, uh, expect to watch a comic book movie where some things are a little bit corny, like you having a villain that is just about the exact opposite of the hero, or having the same powers as the hero. Venom versus Riot, or Spider-Man versus Venom. It's like the opposite of themselves. Um, there's so many examples within the comics that display this. And if you're not a comic fan, or if you're not a fan of superhero stories, that's what you're walking into. You're walking into that kind of story. It's not something grand or that's going to make you think completely differently about superhero stories or superhero movies. Now, it was enjoyable from the beginning, and it had definitely had a horror element to it. It was filmed in a way where it made it like a horror movie, especially in the first maybe like 20 minutes or so. Um, but it had a lot of comedy, so it was like a comedy horror. Um, Now, I will say I was a little bit spoiled by just headlines of seeing titles like Venom, a true turd in the wind. I saw a reviewer put it. I was walking into the theater skeptical about what I was going to see, and hoping that it was wrong. But because I want to enjoy my movie experience, and I did find myself in the first maybe 30 minutes come to terms and say, I think this is a bad movie. Um, Now, why did I say that? Looking back, I said that because the beginning was kind of slow. There were some scenes that just didn't really work out very well. I'll give you one example of one scene I didn't particularly like, and it was in the trailers, which is the scene between Eddie Brock and I forget the guy's name, the one that will be pretty much the main villain, played by Riz Ahmed. Um, it didn't flow well for me. It felt a little bit too unbelievable. Okay, so I think moments like that kind of hinder the film from being great. The story is not something that is, it's not like a mind thriller or anything like that. It's it's a typical story, a good guy going after a bad guy. Now, the best thing about the film, and even the critics agree on this, is the fact that Venom and Eddie Brock, their interaction is just phenomenal. It's really why I keep going back and watching to watch this film. It's hilarious. Venom had some funny lines that it stands out over and over, and no matter how many times you'll watch it, you'll enjoy it. So once the symbiote bonded with Eddie Brock, I think that's when the movie really picked up. And there's a scene where Venom and Eddie Brock were speaking to each other and kind of establishing who's in charge, and that was menacing because considering Venom being this comedic character in the context of the film, while at the same time being menacing, it just gave him such a a darker tone than you would get if he was just one way or another. And there's a lot of character development between Venom and Eddie Brock and both of them throughout the entire film. So, without getting into further details, I'll do something with a spoiler to discuss it. Later on, maybe later on tonight or in the next coming days. But definitely go see this film. I mean, don't listen to these critics. I don't understand. I really don't understand how the critics can bash the film to that level. I can understand someone saying, I liked it, but it's not that, or it wasn't really my cup of tea. But to say like it was Tom Hardy's worst performance, you out your mind. I'm sorry, you out your mind. You out your mind. Um, yeah. So final thoughts. Go see the film. If I had to rate it out of 10, I would give it an 8 out of 10, hands down, 100%. And now I gotta bounce because I gotta go watch the film for the third time. Peace.